Hello and welcome. My name is Alexander Orlovsky. I am CEO of Orlovsky Consulting GbR, and today I make brief introduction video about current project of my company and my favorite hobby, so to speak. Now, as I said early in my videos, I'm and my company we're doing the custom build of Tetu Linux. We had developed a page where you can get information about current state of the project. It is hosted on the GitHub. Let me jump into the main thing. I hope it is one of those, and you basically get brief introduction into the project, what we need, what we achieved. Let me go back and hopefully it think okay. So our plans we had to do a lot of work for the future because we are going to the mainstream, to the Linux desktop direction. And yes, there are some things which we need to discover. I am actually doing polls. You will find them under this video. There are like 5 different polls. Please check it out. One or the other will be suitable for you. And I need to speak about goals. Why we are doing our custom version of Tetu Linux? What are our goals? First of all, after the polls, which will be done during next week, we would have some sort of a view of understanding what typical Linux users prefer to use for the daily driver, for the Linux desktop experience. After that, we will start to integrate with the window manager. So we build X server, what most people use, and then we build upon on this window manager. It can be in order XFC TD or TD and then XFC. What is TD anyways? If you don't know, it's a fork of the KDE free version 3, which was the most, in my opinion, the most useful version of the KDE so far. People would ask, what about modern version of desktop environments? Personally, I would like to have it on record. Personally, I don't find them interesting for me, and I don't find them very easy to deploy and integrate in my distribution, and that's a lot of effort up front, which those projects requiring. And additionally, above all things, what about the GNOME and KDE developer communities? I have, so to say, not so good experience, especially with KDE, and the person who knows that it's a community manager, so they know what I'm meaning when I say it's hard to communicate with KDE maintainers. So I decided to find more stable and better for me approachable window managers, and not only as technology but as the community of developers. I find them more stable in any ways. So my Linux build version of Tetu Linux would include TD and XFC only. After that, we additionally start to build upon those window managers things like support for Steam, support for Wine. Wine is not Windows simulator, which would allow to play modern computer games from Windows, more or less. And then we start to promote our version and our view of Linux desktop worldwide, because at the recent time, most biggest distributions, they tend to be very bloated, and it's not like they want to be tiny, but that's the way the things, they accumulated a lot of software packages which probably won't be used by daily usage of people, but they are kind of in a chain of dependency. So modern Linux distributions cannot break those logistics, so to say, and they need to have stable versions of their distributions. But on my side, I am building upon very robust, very flexible Linux distribution, which is T2 Linux. And I'm not a developer of T2 Linux, I am just a builder. I'm building upon this technology. And I decided it is a good time to say this is how I see the Linux desktop future. We build upon already established technologies for window managers. We build upon very stable X server, which is really good maintainable, which should have really good developer community, which had a lot of resources. So the X server going into the right direction, the window managers going into the right direction. We have whole stable ecosystem. So Linux desktop becomes even much better than now, and we ignore, by we I mean my company and I, we ignore everything what KDE and GNOME dev community does, and we ignore biggest Linux corporations, because they tend to be very tribal these days. And I would additionally say they try to add artificial intelligence, and it's not a general artificial intelligence, but some sort of artificial intelligence. I'm using too artificial intelligence. It's not like I'm against it, but I don't think that is, for me, for my distribution, right approach to integrate with any on the market available AI system. Having said that, if a client comes to me and say, here's a budget, do it, and do it for me only, okay, I can do this. That's his possibility. But for the common sense and generic distribution which I develop and my company does support it, we not include AI. It's not in our plans. And finally, after everything is done, after TD is integrated, XFC integrated, most annoying bugs which probably arise are solved. People will provide hopefully a feedback. We would able then to integrate Steam support, Wine support, very I would say quality one, and then we will reach a very good point, and we start promote, like really definitely in the way which you probably never saw how you can promote a Linux desktop. I don't plan to conquer the desktop market. We are beyond that not turning back point, but I think technology wise we can do better. We need to be better. Our operating system still working pretty great. Major distributions, they tend to work too great, but understand the point of some clients, commercial clients, like deployment of 10,000 computers, deployment of 1,000 computers, deployment of 100 computers. They have, some of them have stated to me in private issues that they do not understand where every biggest distribution going, and they need like really custom solution. And upon this necessity, I decided to provide such thing. And if anyone likes this distribution, that's okay. If somebody don't like it, it's okay. We have more than 100 distributions in the Linux community, but I tend to think about Linux like, first of all, it's a server operating system. It wasn't meant to be a desktop operating system. Can it be a desktop operating system? I think yes, definitely. But there need to be some work which like always around some corner edges, and there needs to be done some polishing. That like some nasty bugs need to be figured it out, and it can be on the X server level, it can be on the window manager level. and you need kind of people who can be such people who can be like a glue, like, you know, they are not specialists in one particular field, they are like generalists and just solving any coming issues, and I'm kind of this guy which can do that work. And we would have maybe some issues during the development, but I clearly see that we can do very great distribution, and my Linux distribution will be only like, I hope it can grow to such distribution where people say, look at this small cleanest custom built distribution, how they manage desktop issues, how they manage some other Linux related issues, and how they even manage some bugs, and how they support hardware. And I know some people say, why you state on your page that you need to support x86, 64 platforms. My simple answer to that, it's matter of resources. If I would have limitless resources, I would support any platform which makes sense to you. But I don't have such unlimited resources to do that, so I will stay honest and say I only support x68, 86, 64 platforms, and that's it. That's it, people. And if you ask, okay, I like your idea, I would like to support you. That is possibility, and it's not always a monetary issue. There are certain tasks which need to be done. First of all, about donations. You can use crypto, you can wire money, it's not a problem. You can use Patreon page. If you don't have ability to donate right now, it's okay. You can do for us a promotion work in your area. And what I mean by that, you go to conferences, you go to the local events which has somehow relation to the computer stuff. You take your laptop, you put on our distro, you show people our distro and say, people, this is it. This is one of the best Linux distributions in the world. There are other distributions which do have greatness, but my personal idea, like, to have a clean, very useful, very not, I would not say user friendly, like there are a lot of user friendly operating systems. I will say it should be a stable, robust, flexible Linux distribution which do not get in your way, which allow you without even internet to work with that operating system, whatever that means. But it should be at the same time support modern hardware, support 3D performance. So I don't know how it would get eventually, but I had some ideas in past how we can, as a Linux open source developers, provide a some sort of a layer which would allow closed source companies which produce 3D drivers to provide them in support, and that would work. But that was like pipe dream. Nowadays, I hope just that most biggest companies like Intel, AMD, Nvidia just provide the kernel modules, and that's it. And the 3D performance stay the same, and we just improve overall quality. Having said that, the direction of my Linux is first of all stability, first of all flexibility, extensibility. You can always take my ISO, build your own version. You take my ISO and build your own distribution. That is possibility too. So Tattoo Linux, which I'm not official developer, I'm just a builder. The Tattoo Linux community, they done a lot of great hard work in order to have such interesting distribution. And people say, why exactly Tattoo Linux? Why not Oza? Why not Couchy OS? And you need just to try it out, like put it through the tests which you have, and just take your own common sense and say, do I like it, do I don't like it. For me, it's kind of really big idea. I did always wanted to have some sort of source-based Linux distribution. Why? Just because there are certain situations in the world where you have standard Linux distribution which not easy to configure, because you need, like, I don't know, build adjustable kernel with some sort of non-standard kernel modules, things like that. And it is always pain in the head to do that if you have standardized distribution. But now I have this version of Linux which can provide the necessary tools and toolchain to do that. So even in such cases I have a solution. And finally, this is really a lot of fun to see how a modern Linux distribution is built. I know people say, but what about Linux from scratch? Linux from scratch is really educational purpose system, and the problem with Linux from scratch, there too much work. That's too much work. When you build Tattoo Linux, there work too, but not so much. I mean, my typical procedure and workflow 1 week, when I know all of the issues which can arise with certain packages. So 1 week of the build time, and then I have at the latest day working ISO, which can be deployed on many different systems. If you have, like, I don't know, final promotion for the Tattoo Linux, if you have as a company a lot of similar hardware, and you say, we don't need to, like, have we need to have Linux with 100% optimization. And I just would give you a real life case, like if you're running a mining server farm, like a lot of servers running crypto mining software. There you need a Linux version which has the lowest footprint. And what actually Tattoo Linux give you for that? It gives you special options which can optimize the kernel and the whole packages which follow the kernel, the whole distribution optimized for this hardware which you have. So you can, like, have in some best cases up to 10% performance increase just because you have compiled the Linux operating system for your hardware. The disadvantage will be it would not work if you have other hardware. So if your hardware motherboard change it, I don't think that it would work for you. But if you have one and the same hardware in the big amounts and multiple machines with the same hardware and same CPU, and you have like 10 years or I don't know 5 years plan to use the same old hardware without any upgrades, you can build one time this Tattoo Linux and have your performance boost, like I said, up to 10% possibly. And with that, I would say try it out. I will provide the links to my GitHub page. It is free operating system. We have a wiki, so you have very extensive wiki about some similar issues which can arise, and you can try it out and see for yourself. Once again, we're starting for small. We have built a baseline, And then when we know what people use mostly for the X, we will pick this X server, build it on our distribution, build window managers, build Steam. I mean, we built everything needed for running a Steam, and building the same stuff for the Wine, so the whole distribution become Linux desktop distribution, and you will get it for free. What can be even more better than that? Of course, support is not for free. That is obviously because I don't have so much resources, but I can promise you we make sure the builds which we deliver, they will be more better and better, because we do learn stuff how to do our work better. And if you have any hardware related to our project, you can actually donate it to us, you can lease it to us, and we will use it for doing our goals for this project. After that you can have your hardware back, that's not an issue. Or again, if you plan to have talks at conferences, we can talk, you can talk with us what is our major like promotion line, because you will not you will be promoting not only for us, you will be promoting for the T2 Linux community. They, and I spoke with Rebe, they like at the moment they ignore my endeavor. It's their opinion, it's their right, but I think if we do the promotion right, we will get really good attraction. We will not conquer 20% of the desktop from Red Hat or OpenSUSE, but we would get attention from people exactly whom we can help, and that would help us to even make even better and greater Linux distribution. And with that, I thank you for watching my ramblings. I know I tried to express myself the best, but this is how it is. And feel free to try it out, put your feedback, and I hope for the best. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.